All right, guys. Today we got Finn Magee. Finn, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Marco. I'm fired up.
So Finn, boardroom by day, jump kid at the tavern by night. You're a rock star, buddy. How do those two worlds talk to each other?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think I like to make the joke that I bring the same energy from the boardroom to the stage at night, and vice versa. But mostly, I think playing music and building sort of a brand in the music industry is all about networking, and it's the same with insurance. And it's the same with most industries. It's about putting yourself out there, being the best at what you do, and then being confident. And I think that's where the big crossover is between music and business.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. And you're everywhere recently. Vegas, London, Australia, flying that Canadian flag. Where's, like what's that pace actually like for you?
Yeah, it's certainly busy. I think I was having a conversation this morning, and I just got back from Ireland last week, and that was my 15th trip of the year, which is pretty taxing. But it's been really cool to see so many different corners of the world, um, all struggling with the same issues when it comes to how do you implement AI and what kind of AI do you
Hmm.
focus on, and what's vaporware and what's real. And although, for example, we're on the complete opposite side of the world as Australia, they still have the same processes and the same rooms, for opportunity that we have in AI as a whole, and specifically for me with insurance.
Right. So give us a bit of a backstory, like your career arc. I know um, where you were before InsureTech, and then up to that point where you've been the last like 9 months or however long it's been.
Yeah, for me, like I like to say, I found my love for startups when I was in university. My friends and I, worked on a project and built out a platform to help university students sublet their rooms. That led to another project that I did in entertainment, doing event planning, and eventually a music festival. And I think, overall, my experience building startups led me to my next job, which was in insurance, helping a large TPA grow sort of their innovation division. They wanted someone who didn't have what we refer to in insurance as a legacy mindset.
Mm.
Someone who was fresh, knew how to build a startup culture, but didn't know how insurance worked. And that is how I found myself entering the insurance world on the claims side. Um, Led, the sales of that platform for 3 years across North America. Saw a ton of activity in the US and not so much in Canada, which, as a pretty proud Canadian, I thought we should have more activity in Canada. People should be talking about, insurtech and how the oldest industry, in the world, can be innovated. And so, after taking some time off from that last company, and time off by I traveled Asia for a year, which was awesome. Uh, Gave great perspective on some countries have no idea what AI is and probably won't for another 100 years. Um, I think for sure that I found myself in this role with InsureTech Canada because of my experience in insurance, my passion for showing off Canadian innovation,
Mm.
letting it grow in Canada, but then also on a global scale too.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Um, so for people who don't know, like, can you explain what InsureTech is, what you guys do?
Yeah. So with InsureTech Canada, we're basically focused on three different pillars. So the first one is with InsureTech companies themselves. We define an InsureTech as any sort of SaaS service provider that has a tech that can service the insurance industry, whether you're servicing an insurance broker, an insurance underwriter, any sort of tech that would help them do their job better, that's an InsureTech. So we
Right.
help InsureTechs create revenue, and we help them raise capital. We also consult for those insurance carriers, insurance brokers on their processes, which gives us really good knowledge of sort of the product market fit, what companies are actively looking for. And based off that, we can then take those tech companies and plug them into our carrier partners. And then the last bucket is with capital. So we're in the center of deal flow, whether the capital is located locally or globally. We're helping basically connect capital into the Canadian innovation scene, specifically with insurance. And sort of overall goal for us is we'd like to stand up a fund and invest in some of these companies ourselves and really just see the Canadian innovation scene thrive. Because I think, frankly, it's lacking at the moment, and a lot of work needs to be done to sort of reinvigorate, Canada, which is the home of AI. It's the best talent pool in the world for tech, and no one seems to know or care about that at the moment.
Right. Yeah, I feel like we're pretty well known for developing AI talent and then like shipping it off to the States right
Yeah,
after.
yeah,
Um, so what are you focused on right now in InsureTech specifically?
yeah. I think there's two pretty big areas that I'd say the whole industry is focused on. For me, like I come from a claims background. I think that more and more with the use of AI and things being automated, an insurance claim, arguably someone's worst day of their life. Um, I've seen AI be super empathetic and be really, really good at helping people navigate situations like that. But at the end of the day, if your house has been struck by lightning and it's burnt down, there's a hole in the ground, I guarantee that you are going to want to talk to a person. So for sure, the conversation around where it's appropriate to use AI on the claim side is super top of mind. But the other thing, which is relevant for every industry, is companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. How do they affect insurance? So I've spoken with the head of insurance at OpenAI, the head of insurance at Anthropic. The fact that they have a head of insurance position shows that they really care about
Right.
the industry. And what they're saying is, okay, how is buying insurance going to be different? Like right now, all the other industries that I'm aware of, online shopping has shifted to large language models. I can go onto Claude and I can look up what's the best pair of pants to buy. That hasn't happened in insurance yet, but I see that happening for sure in the near future with simple things like home policies or auto policies. Using large language models to buy insurance is sort of the new distribution thing, which is causing a ton of disruption in the industry as a whole. Like a few months ago, a company called InsureTech sort of got popular, and the entire insurance broker market, all their stock prices dropped like 10% just because this company said they existed. Like crazy waves on distribution right now, for sure.
Right. That's super interesting. You're talking to Anthropic and OpenAI. What did they like? What kind of specifics did they give around insurance? Are they because you were mentioning how they do play a big part, like how their models are trained, it directly impacts the decisions that are being made. Like, or do you think, or are they training models specifically for insurance or these sort of specific verticals?
Yeah, they 100% are. And they're playing, especially in the US, they're playing a pretty big role in sort of the creation of regulation because this AI thing has popped up so quick. Our regulators aren't really on top or ahead of that conversation. They don't know how to regulate the use of AI in insurance. So they're actively building models that, I like to give an example. If you were to bind an insurance policy based off like someone's demographic, like what neighborhood they live in or like what culture or race they are, you can't do that. Like that's illegal, especially in Canada. But right
Right.
now, AI doesn't know that. So they're training these models, and it's really important to make sure they're training these models correctly. And that's why they're so involved in sort of the regulatory conversation um, in insurance as a whole. Like, how do we use AI safely and make sure that we're using it properly and unbiased as well?
Right. Um, that's interesting to hear. So you you just got back from Dublin or from Ireland. I think you were at a London accelerator a little while ago, or is that the
Mm-hmm.
same? Yeah. So you're seeing this across the whole field. In your eyes, where's AI actually working in insurance right now, and where is it not?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard across the board. I think AI right now is really working in insurance when it comes to supporting decision making. Um, so, for example, if I'm a policyholder, I like to ask this question when I speak. I go, okay, like, has anyone actually ever read their entire insurance policy? And like, one or two people will raise their hand, and they're probably lying. But no one actually reads their own insurance policy, but no one really knows what insurance is. So then, the ability for an insurance company to say, here's a large language model that we've built. It's guardrailed on our data. You can access all your policy information and understand what you're being insured for much better using that. I think like knowledge transfer, transparency with policyholders, that's been great with AI. Where AI isn't working yet is kind of tough to say, but I would say for sure when it comes to, underwriting final decisions, like you can work within like an accuracy rating. But overall, I think final decision making still has to, rely on a person. And then this leads you to a whole nother conversation around, okay, the use of AI in a company. How do you ensure that? Like generally in a company, you would have something called an E&O policy, errors and omissions, which means if someone fucks up, it doesn't matter because you're covered for it by insurance.
Right.
Now, how do you cover AI fucking up? That's a whole nother insurance industry that's now being developed. Like, how do you cover that? So I don't know. AI has a lot of good, and it's making everyone's lives a lot easier. It's innovating an industry that needs it, but it's still got a ways to go for full confidence rating.
Right. Um, and you know, you're seeing so many companies implement AI. What are you seeing as separating the operators that are getting real value from the ones that are, just doing AI to show it off in the deck or whatever?
Yeah, I think like culture in the organization. I think insurance obviously is a very risk averse industry. The entire premise of insurance is built upon risk and how do you mitigate risk, and how do you price risk properly. So I think, especially in insurance, companies struggle with the idea of, failing fast. And it's the ones who say, it's okay to fail on a project that, are doing really well with this like technological shift. And the second piece of that, I think, is it's really important for AI implementation to be top down. So, for example, I met with a C-suite at a pretty large insurance company. They weren't sold on the use of AI. They had blocked the use of Claude and the use of ChatGPT to their employees, which doesn't work because they're just going to go on their personal computer and use it there.
Hmm.
And they were like, we're anti this AI thing. And I said, okay, well, here's Claude. Let's just sit down and let's just build you like a personal agent for something you would do at home, like managing your calendar, your trash schedule, or whatever it is. And leaving that room, all of these C-suite employees were like, oh my gosh, Claude makes life so much easier. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, obviously. But it took them being told to sit down in a room for an hour and build something for
Right.
themselves to like actually find a tangible use case for it, that now that company is all over implementing AI. Everyone's excited about it. And it's not a forced thing. It's like you should be willing to work with AI and, be a better version of yourself, if you will.
Right. Yeah. So that's just interesting having sort of the strategy of getting into the hands of leadership, um, so that they can almost be the champion for you or deploying it down. Um, and you wouldn't even technically have to have something super impactful, right? Like as you were saying, like you just built them a simple agent or get their head spinning like, oh, I could build a tool for this process or that, or oh, my team could use it for this, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I know, like, I was told a story today at lunch that this guy and his buddies go on a golf trip every year, and, they're like not young guys, they're probably middle aged. And one of them decided that he just wanted to build an agent to track their golf scores. And it's like a simple little use case like that, or if you can simplify tracking golf scores, I mean, you can really do anything. It's just about convincing people that it's worth it to do it in business.
Right. Um, that sounds pretty cool. I've built something like that before, or I just have my Hermes bot like booking me rounds, like going searching all the open slots and just like coming back to me with options. Feel like that, like these are the sort of things that you could just like show a guy and they're just like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it's on the note of like anyone being able to build anything. There's sort of an interesting thing that I'm seeing in insurance. It could be a little dangerous, anyone building anything. Like I get approached by probably 15 to 20 companies a week where they'll go, we're an insurtech. We've built this built, they vibe coded it, but built this like platform that's going to change how insurance works forever. And it's like someone who's never worked in insurance, doesn't know what problems should need to be solved. We won't work with companies like that because,
Right.
you know, there's not enough substance behind it. Anyone can build anything, sure, but then the team behind it is what really matters now. Like,
Right.
if you're going to invest in an AI company, you better believe that if they're going after the insurance market, that they have tenured insurance people on their board. They're being guided to actually solve a problem, not create a problem. Because for sure, this new wave of anyone building anything, it definitely doesn't work in insurance, and it's honestly not well received either.
Yeah. Sounds like that's the exact guidance you specialize in right there.
Yes, exactly. You know, helping a company, you know, if they have an initial idea, sort of consulting on that and saying, this is good based off what we understand from the rest of the industry, this is where you might fit. And then even helping place senior advisors with them to help them grow. Because we want to see the insurance industry thrive. And we don't want to see, you know, vaporware getting into people's processes and then the name of InsureTech just going through the floor because no one trusts the use of technology in insurance anymore.
Right.
You know?
Right. Okay. Well, let's pivot a bit here. Enough about everyone else. I want to hear about, you know, how are you using this stuff day to day?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And like my day to day, of course, a lot of it is InsureTech Canada. But I use it for like the band too, you know, and we're like, I use Gemini quite a bit when it comes to like creating band posters. I use it to run like my personal schedule when I'm like picking flights to travel. Claude does all of that for me. For me, like my use cases just show up randomly where I go, I don't have time to do this. I just ask, you know,
Yeah.
AI to do it. I haven't gone as far as to ask AI to write any songs for the band yet, but I mean, it's a whole nother conversation. Like there's like one band that has like 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify and it's all created by AI. There's
Right.
no one actually behind it, which is crazy.
I think I remember in a past conversation you mentioned, yeah, you kind of had like some sort of Claude code set up that helped you a lot for InsureTech. Can you talk to what that looks like?
Yeah. The first one I ever set up was sort of around promoting our members on LinkedIn. So we work with 30 member companies. That could be a lot of companies to manage, especially when they all have content that's going out constantly on LinkedIn. And a lot of people look to the InsureTech Canada LinkedIn page as sort of their one source for everything InsureTech. So what I did was I basically set up, you know, through like Claude Cowork, I had Claude build, A, gave it access to my LinkedIn. And then B, what it does now is it actually scans through all of my members' posts. It knows what kind of posts we want to reshare that will look good on the InsureTech Canada page and does that completely for me. So where I would traditionally have like a social media manager hired to, you know, scan through all our members' posts and then schedule our own posts, resharing their stuff, Claude now does that completely on its own.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So are you using this like are you using it yourself or does the rest of the team use it too or how's it working?
Yeah, like my team definitely uses it as well, like for graphic creation, for you know, document summarization, organization. They're all very much encouraged to use AI to make themselves as efficient as possible. It's not like they're going to get paid any more or less, but you get your daily tasks done a lot quicker. You're still getting paid the same. It's just the fact that you used AI to make it better. Big on encouraging everyone on the team to use it.
Right. And have you guys figured out a way to sort of collaborate on the same things or what does the kind of AI system look like cross organization?
Yeah, I would say our use of Claude would be collaborative on like we're on Google, right? We're a Google company, like Google Calendar, Gmail, all of that. So the collaboration with a large language model like Claude, for example, is that everyone's calendars are aligned. I know, like, because Claude's building my schedule, it's building everyone else's schedule as
Right.
well, and that's how we're able to collaborate. We don't necessarily collaborate directly with anything that we've built through Claude specifically, but our one home base being Google, that's where the collaboration is supported by an AI, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen like companies start to move into sort of these collaborative AI workspaces, building like I don't know if you've seen this sort of these AI brains or sort of like a second brain layer. Have you guys looked into this, or have you seen other companies, member companies, implement a similar system?
Yeah, for sure. I think like when it boils down to it, InsureTech Canada isn't a super operationally heavy
Right.
company, right? Like we're focused on connecting dollars to dollars, and because of that, our operations are actually super simple.
Mm.
But for any of our member companies, like a massive insurance company that has $1 billion in premium, they for sure are looking at these AI brains and collaborative AI workspace because they're so operationally heavy. There's so many little things that one employee will build to make their job more efficient, where that would have been built on their own. Now it's being built for everyone to use this sort of agent to summarize documents better when they're ingesting medical records, for example. Lots of small things that people are now collaborating on using AI, which I think is super cool.
Yeah. Um, like what in your mind, are there any areas that um, you're not using it that you think it would be really useful for you right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like for me personally, I think why I actually found a use case this morning. I'm really, really tired of getting spam calls. I'm like, well, I can't answer my phone like every 5 seconds to talk about air duct cleaning. Is there a way that
Yeah.
Claude can, make that life more efficient for me? So that is the use case I thought of today where I might use AI more is how can I put a blocker through Claude to only let through people that I want to speak to?
Right.
Um, but I think more from, a business lens is that we are a very relationship based company.
Hmm.
We have, I don't know, tens of thousands of relationships that we manage. And I think what I would like to do more with AI is we have a relationship matrix, but I want to make it more accessible for the rest of our team. Um, Through AI, I haven't fully figured out how that looks yet, but I know it's possible. So I would say that's probably our use case.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is InsurTech headed with AI in the next year, in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think like for us, for sure, we're looking to invest pretty heavily in a lot of companies that are powered by AI. In fact, we won't touch a company that isn't actively using AI.
Hmm.
We'll try to help them implement that, like no doubt. But when we're looking at what we want to invest in with our fund coming out next year, it's going to be, I would say, companies that have a really strong team behind them who know how to use AI, and then they're using AI in a really applicable manner to what I touched on with like distribution, for example. We work with a company right now called My Choice. They were the first Canadian company to sort of develop a chat GPT like distribution model and get it on the App Store. It's companies like that I want to put money behind and that I want in our membership base because they understand the trends. They're using AI in the most powerful way possible at the moment, like selling insurance through AI. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Uh, those are the kind of companies that I'm looking at putting money behind and supporting when it comes to AI for sure.
Yeah. And like, what are you most excited about? Like happening or watching just in InsurTech, I guess we'll start.
Yeah, I think so. Like, not like it's sort of political, but this theme of like globalization that we would have learned about in like university. Like technology has allowed the world to become so much closer and interconnected, and we're seeing a lot of companies who can operate globally. In like Canada and Australia, and they have the same processes because their tech's the same. I think I'm really excited to see sort of the next step to globalization, which is what you touched on, like that AI brain, like the ability for companies to collaborate super, super efficiently, like around the
Right.
world. And I think that's going to be super, super cool and allow some pretty cool opportunities for people to collaborate, like with a 15-hour time difference.
Mm, yeah. Um, and of course your mission of Canada on the global stage, which I love. I was listening to CBC yesterday morning, and they had Evan Solomon, the guy who's
Yeah.
running AI for all. And I don't know if that's the right solution that what Canada's doing right now, but like just so much uncertainty around it. And like, yeah, I was wondering what your take is on all that.
Yeah. I think, I mean, like, I think Evan Solomon, like, I don't think I could handle that job. Like, so much respect for a guy stepping in to be the minister of AI, like, in this day and age where, he's obviously a wealth of knowledge when it comes to AI, but, people are still learning something new every 24 hours and AI could completely change it out of nowhere. So to be able to like put a strategy together for that and then stand by it, like, I think his biggest thing is going to like somehow convince the government, the most like rigid, slow moving, like process oriented thing of all time, to be adaptive with their regulatory policies, and like be willing to change with the market. Because like the head of insurance at Anthropic, and the head of insurance OpenAI were telling me, is that every Monday morning they sit down with their dev teams and they relearn everything they thought they knew about AI.
Mm.
Like, terrible Monday task, but that's how quickly it's shifting inside of these companies. So I don't know. I think you put a strategy together, awesome, but you got to be so adaptive, and nimble with AI.
Yeah. That's so interesting to hear. Who's your guy in the ear? Who's your AI guy who's keeping you sitting you down every Monday?
I mean, I sit down every day with my members who have built something new in AI. So I like to say, like, all 30 of our companies keep me on my toes. They're like, "We just built this. What do you think?" I'm like, "Holy shit, I don't know." Uh, it's pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining. So I rely on like all of our CTOs that we deal with, because I don't come from a dev background, um, but I feel like I'm closer to the dev guys now that AI makes it way easier for me to be a dev guy.
Right. Yeah. Um, I guess was there anything you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask about?
No, I think no. Those are all really really good questions. I really like that you're taking a Canada focused approach on this episode. Like with 2012 AlexNet, that was like, I think it was called AlexNet. It was the first large language model developed at the University of Toronto,
Hmm.
and sure enough, that went to the U.S. and so did the team. But I guess more than 10 years ago, like 14 years ago. Large language model has been around for a while. Canada was the first country to actually build one, like just down the road. And all the top talent that I meet ends up in the US. So I think it's important that you're building a show like this to like show off what Canada is capable of, because it's clearly a lot. We're the most educated country in the world. We should be doing more.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Um, well, thanks for coming on, Finn. Thanks for the conversation. Where can people find more about you, more about what you're working on?
yeah, for sure. You can find me on my LinkedIn, Finn Magee. I'm super responsive on there. Um, I made the mistake of putting my phone number and my email out on a podcast episode like 5 months ago, and I just got through all the spam, so I'm not doing that again. But you can also find more of my information on our website. If you go to insurtechcanada.ca, there's some info on what I do and what our awesome team does there as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Finn.
Cheers, Marco.